Welcome to the Chronicles, Part 2, Higher Mindstate. Now, this story takes place just a few months after our last event. If you haven't already seen Part 1, definitely make sure to go check it out. But around this time, I really was heavy into the brand I was developing called Higher Mindstate. It's something I started in 2017 when I initially started getting big into psychedelics. But it wasn't lifted off the ground until just right around the time after this rap show. Like, that was the first event that kind of helped me solidify the name in a way. I wasn't going by the name, but in my head, it's what helped me decide, I want to really go by this name and develop this brand. So either way, in this time, I'm just getting a lot more into psychedelics, right? I'm doing bigger mushroom doses. I'm doing bigger acid doses. I tried dabbing DMT for the first time. I'm getting pounds of kratom. Like, I'm getting these big packs of kratom in the mail every week. I'm getting more than I need, but for some reason at the time, I just like to stockpile it. I don't know. I didn't have a job, and I wasn't profiting off of Higher Mindstate, but I was definitely making some sales. And not having a job, I didn't have a ton of money, but there was some other things I was doing, to bring some in. Like, for example, I had a couple little random side businesses. In particular, I had this walnut business, which was actually a great idea at the time. I just went out, picked up like a couple 1,000 pounds of walnuts, and my plan was just to shell them and sell them. And I'd either sell them on eBay or OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace or wherever. But it wasn't a bad little gig. And I just honestly at the time I'd I'd have my walnuts. I had my little station set up. I put on my Joe Rogan podcast. This was like back when I first started getting into Joe Rogan. And I'd just spend like hours just shelling these walnuts, like to the point where my wrists would get sore. But, and it was pretty funny too. Like, I'd store them out in the garage, right? Well, one day I start noticing, walnuts like kind of up the driveway a little bit. And I'm like, what? And so I realized the squirrels have found out that I have a stash of nuts in the garage, and they're coming into the garage and they're sorting them. And at first I was thinking like, damn, maybe I should employ these fools, because free labor, I mean, they can sort the nuts before they even crack them and tell if they're bad. And I almost went to war with these squirrels. It was kind of funny. It was honestly a big joke in the family for a while, because, everyone just thought it was so hilarious, like, I have these squirrels stealing my nuts, right? Well, that was one of the side businesses. Or, I was selling a lot of stuff on eBay. I was recouping a lot of the money I had spent in 2017 and 2018 on like vape stuff, different devices, or even juices. And I was just selling them on eBay. And it's like, honestly, I wasn't profiting at all, but I was making my money back. And so to recoup a couple $100 that had kind of been blown on vape stuff was pretty nice. So, I'm sitting on about $2,000. I was selling little bits of weed, little bits of psychedelics, but really not like negligible amounts, not, very small amounts, just mostly trading, stuff like that. But it definitely happened time to time. Well, I'm sitting on about $2,000, and feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm just living life, enjoying it. I don't have a job. I don't really have any responsibilities. Like, I had a phone bill and I had a little credit card, but really no bills. We had tons of functions and parties we were going to, and, me and different homies, and the brand started getting some local recognition. Like, I was actually at the state fair, and somebody came up to me and they were wearing one of my shirts, and they were like, yo, bro, you made these shirts. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was crazy. Like, and he was like super hyped, and we talked or whatever. He's like, you're doing a cool little, spreading a cool message or whatever. And I really appreciated that. That was the first time, like, that made me feel like, whoa, seeing it made it feel kind of real. So this brand was really cemented and something I was really putting a lot of time and effort into. Well, one day, and I got a buddy, right? For the sake of this story, we're going to call him Chuck. I'm over at Chuck's house just hanging out, kicking it. Actually, he might have even been over at my crib, now if I remember correctly. And we're hanging out. I'm scrolling on OfferUp, and I'm looking for a car, right? Because I didn't have a car at this time. Previously, the car I had when I got my license, it was gifted to me, and I had been in a car accident, so didn't have a car at this time. And really, I didn't have a job. I didn't have much going. So it's like I really wanted to start leveling up more. I wanted to move out, get an apartment, make some bigger plays, right? A lot of females during this time. I'm just trying to make some stuff happen. Well, I'm hanging out with Chuck, and I'm looking on OfferUp, and I stumble across this 2002 pearl white Acura TL Type S. Now, I don't really know anything about cars. I don't really know anything about brands or anything like that, but it was a very clean white sedan, which is what I wanted. It seemed like it had some nice features, leather seats, navigation, heated seats. So I'm like, for the year, this looks like a hoot and a holler. Let's go check it out. So me and Chuck, we mob over, we're chilling out, we're playing some music, just it's a beautiful summer day, right? And because I had messaged a guy on OfferUp, I was like, yo, is it cool if I come drive the car or whatever, come check it out? He's like, yeah, of course. So I pull up, and it's like this dude's got like this warehouse full of cars. Like, low key at first I thought they were stolen, because actually when I was trying to like register my car or whatever, like the VIN number was like, one of the letters was written kind of weird. And so like the lady on the phone, she's like, I can't find this isn't coming up in the system or whatever. So but no, it was all legit or whatever. I thought that was kind of funny. But no, we pull up, like this dude's got probably like 100 cars, and just this car seemed like the car. I don't know, I didn't even drive it yet, and I'm like, I really want to buy this. And I test drive it, feel it out or whatever, and I love it instantly. It's got a cracked windshield, it's got a tail light out, but the guy wants $1,800. I'm like, look, I'm like, look, bro, I'll do $1,400, because I'm telling Chuck during the test drive, I'm like, yeah, I'm buying this thing, dude, no doubt. And the guy, he's kind of thinking about it. He goes inside and talks to someone else. He comes out, because I'm like, mind you, I'm talking cash here, and he comes out or whatever. He's like, I'll do 15. And I don't even hesitate. I'm like, I don't even try to go 1450. I'm like, that sounds like a fantastic price. I'm in. So I pull out the money, I go inside, sign some paperwork, and the car's mine. And I was just feeling on top of the world, man. Like, it was finally just had my own reliable transportation. It felt really good to pull up in. Like, yeah, it's an old car, but it was at the time like a really nice car, and I think the sticker price on it was like 40 grand back in 2002 for the fully loaded option. So, which is what I had, that I got for $1,500, and everything still worked. I mean, the only thing that gave me troubles was the radio, but pretty easy fix, just got to rewire it. So either way, I'm driving off, me and Chuck, we're celebrating, we're super hyped, and he's like, yeah, we should, because Chuck was a bit of a psychonaut, and he's like, we should take a big dose of acid to celebrate. And he's talking, he's like, we should take 5 drops of this liquid acid I have. And I'm like, it was some strong stuff. Like one drop of it would knock your socks off. So he's like, let's do 5. It seems like, let's just really push the limit. Because before, the previous amount I think I had done of this stuff was like 2 drops. And he'd probably done like at least 5 of it before. He was pretty experienced with it, but it was still pretty new to us at the time, like that kind of a dose. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And, we trip or whatever. And the cool part of this trip, like that really cements the lifestyle of the Chronicles, I guess, is just that I really got to like experience the now in in a really beautiful way, in a really vivid, like clear way. And, I just, like, it was one of my favorite trips of all time, because like it just really got me in this mode of living life and just enjoying it and realizing that truly the best of it is here in this moment right now, which is eternal. It lasts forever. There's, nothing beyond it. So it was just such a beautiful trip, and I got the car, and I'm feeling great, man. And there's this natural food store that I had my eye on. They were hiring, and I really want to get a job there. I'm like, dude, now that I got the car, it's like, yeah, I can make some decent money on my own, like with side hustles, but it would be cool to get some consistent income as well, because now that I got this car, it's like I got registration, insurance, gas, all the rest, maintenance. So it's like, even at the time, I was already thinking about modifying it, even though I knew nothing about cars. So it's kind of funny, a little insight to the future. But either way, so I go over, and it was crazy how easily I got this job too. Like one of the quickest. Like I go in there one day, drop off my resume, and he's like, "You want to come in tomorrow for an interview?" And I'm like, "Bet." And dude, during this time I was taking so many psychedelics, I actually went to this interview off acid. And I got the job right away. He's like, "Yeah, you're hired. You want to start tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." Because it was a super cool vibe. Like, it was this really hippie, healthy, natural food store, which, they had some other cool little trinkets and bobs. And they had, just like cool other items too, like not just food, like they had supplements and herbs, which was really my favorite section. But really just a cool gem of a place, like a very, very special little chill. It's they have a pretty known reputation for the area, but it's not a super big store, like it's family owned or whatever. So I just really like the vibe. And I get the job there, and it's great, man. I only work 2 days a week, like really easy schedule. I'm still able to do my higher mind state. Life's great. I like work never felt like work. And it's funny, during this time, I remember hearing the Alan Watts, like specifically the quote where he's saying like, a lot of people lay in bed, on Monday morning dreading it because they got to get up for work or whatever. It's like, I can't remember exactly how he put it, but during this time, like I never felt that anxiety. Like I genuinely enjoyed going to work because it wasn't really work. It's like I just showed up and talked to a bunch of super cool, conscious people, and enjoyed life. And I was always microdosing, taking kratom, taking different psychedelics at work, and just all the time. Really, that was the vibe. Like it was a nonstop party during this time, always having these all-nighters and all the rest. Well, one day, right, there is this girl who comes into the store, and I'm a cashier, right? So I'm like, the register is right in front of the door. And now for the sake of the story, we're going to call this girl Kayla. So, she comes in or whatever, she's super cute, and right off the bat, right, she's got more of like a preppy girl sort of vibe, if you will, if that makes sense. Like, she's not like I wouldn't call her like a hippie or anything. I wouldn't like think she's into like rocks and astrology and stuff like that. Like she seems more like she goes to Sephora and stuff like that. And I don't know, like she just seems like that sort of preppy girl vibe or whatever. And like she was really attractive, whatever. And I was like, it was a different vibe than the typical one that came in the store. And I don't know, me and her just kind of hit it off, right? We're talking, and from the first time she came in, like we're really just hitting it off. Like everything seems great. She seems super cool. She's really like interested in talking to me for some reason, which like I was like, okay, this is cool. And she comes in several times. We're talking. I getting to know her name's Kayla, and she probably came in like 3 or 4 times where we would just kind of. Each time it was like super good to see her, and we chatted up. Well, one day she comes in, and, we're talking as usual, and she's like, "Oh, can I get your number?" And I was like, "Yeah, bet." Like I really, I was going to ask her for her number, honestly, but I was kind of just playing it cool. Like playing it super chill. I really like my job. Didn't want to like create any awkward, customer relations or anything like that. 'Cause she was a pretty frequent customer. So I was like, I was like just playing it cool, and she asked me for my number, so I'm like, yeah, bet, that works great. And we're hanging out a ton during this time, like like, I'm not gonna say we're going on dates, but like we're frequently going out to like nice restaurants and like I'm paying for it or whatever, and I have no problem with it. Like I always wanted to, but I always kind of noticed this girl had quite a bit of money, and she's just a college student or whatever. She didn't even have a job. So I was at first I was kind of like, but her parents like had money. They bought her car. Like it wasn't anything crazy nice, but it was a new Kia, which, hey, I mean, I'd never had anyone buy me a new car. Like that's like 30, 40 grand right there, even for like a base model, especially nowadays. Geez. So, it was, so I just didn't really pay it any mind. I'm like, well, her parents probably give her money, whatever. I think she did like some babysitting here and there, so I was like, I never paid it any mind, right? And we spent probably a few months hanging out, and I never like had like any other intentions of just really like being friends with this girl. I mean, I did like her and I did think she was extremely attractive, but like we really just like hit it off as good friends. We would hang out and we'd hang out all night most nights. And the thing about Kayla is she was really like anti-drugs. Like I guess her ex or whatever was like super alcoholic, like loser, would just wake up drinking beer in the morning and popping pills and stuff. So I guess that really like, put a bad taste in her mouth or whatever, which, is completely understandable. But so during this time I halted everything. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't have a problem with it. I just like, I genuinely enjoyed spending my time with her. So it wasn't even an issue. Like it wasn't even like, because I wasn't even that heavy yet. Like I had only just tried a bunch of things and experimented. I hadn't gone into like the crazy binges that we'll get into. Well, so me and Kayla are hanging out and it's just kind of the usual, right? One day she hits me up and she's like, we should hang out at your house, right? Like once you get off work. And I was like, that sounds great. The only problem is I had a video shoot for Higher Mindstate the next day. And it was actually with KO and a few other local rappers. Now, there was about 5 or 6 guys in this video, and getting them just to, first of all, getting the song recorded. Recording the song was a big part of this time when I was hanging out with Kayla. Like if I wasn't at work recording or like getting other people to record their verses, I was hanging out with Kayla. Like that's pretty much what I did during these like 2-3 months. Well, the next day is the video shoot for this, it's a music video, right? And like, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, like I've got people showing up where it's like, they could potentially be making money somewhere else. So it's like, it's kind of a big deal. Like, it's not like just getting my buddies together, like, oh, let's go like mess around at the park. No, this is like kind of a big deal for me. Actually, at the time I was really stressed and I was like, this might be like one of the biggest videos of my career. And it was pretty big, but we'll get there. So I'm like, yeah, I remind her I got the video tomorrow. And she was super supportive. Like she supported me throughout the whole thing, which was super nice to have that there. Just like also my homies and everybody, people were super supportive, but she was as well. And she understood. She's like, yeah, we'll just hang out for a few hours, like nothing crazy. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So I go pick her up or whatever, and we go over to my house to hang out. And at the time, I was living at my mom's house when she was kind of like separated from my stepdad temporarily. Just was like this little thing. She ended up buying a house. She lived in like a little townhouse or whatever. And I was staying with her. Now, my mom, I hit her up. I'm like, Mom, Kayla's going to come through or whatever. And she's like, oh, I'm not even home tonight. So I was like, oh, that kind of works out or whatever. And we get to my house and there's loud music playing. There's a bunch of cars in the driveway. I'm like, okay, it looks like I'm not the first person who caught wind that Mom's not going to be home, right? So I get inside and come to find out my brother and my sister both have a bunch of people over. Now, they're significantly younger, and at the time, we're both underage. So, everyone's kind of drinking and smoking and kind of doing all that. And this is the first time Kayla's been to my house. So she's kind of like, oh, what, and I'm like, I'm right off the bat, I'm like, this is not normal behavior. Usually there's an adult here. Usually this is not happening. Even if there's no adult here, like this is just not normal. It was really kind of just like the worst timing, but she was pretty cool. She's like, it's fine. Like, and I even told her, I was like, look, like, because I even told all the kids, I'm like, look, if you guys are drinking and stuff, like, that's fine, but nobody's driving. Like, I told them, like, if anybody needs a ride, I'll take you, no problem. Just please, if you're going to do all this, like, please let me drive you home. So that was the agreement. And I felt that, like, that was the most responsible thing I could have done. I mean, yeah, I probably should have just, like, told everyone to get the hell out, but I wasn't really, like, I don't know. I was just, like, in my mind, I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. There wasn't that many people over, but probably like 10 people. My brother probably had 5 friends. My sister probably had 5 friends. So a few heads in the house. It's a pretty small house too. So either way, we're hanging out, we're chilling. We're watching some TV and stuff and up in my room or whatever. And I'm telling Kayla, I'm like, I'm pretty nervous about the shoot. I only have 1 battery. And my dumb ass, like I'm not new to filming live events and stuff like that. I should have known I don't know why I only had 1 battery at the time. Might have like misplaced the other ones or something, but I only had 1. And so we're talking. She's like, look, we still have some time. We could make it to Best Buy. Maybe we should just go to Best Buy real quick and see if we can get another battery, like even a knockoff one at the very least, just something so you feel more comfortable, tomorrow that like you're not going to run out of battery. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. So we hop in my car. We hop in the Acura. And we head down to Best Buy. It's about a 20-minute drive, I'd say. We get there, and we're walking up to the door as, like, the employee is standing there. He's, like, trying to close up. He's asking us. He's like, is there something you guys need real quick? I'm like, look, dude, I just need a battery. And he's like straight up. He's like, dude, we don't sell those here. Like, that's an online-only type of thing. And I kind of knew that, but I didn't really believe him. So I was like, do you mind if I just go check real quick? He's kind of annoyed, but he's like, yeah, go ahead. So me and Kayla go look, and lo and behold, they don't have any batteries, right? So I'm kind of like, I'm getting a little bit more nervous. And we actually went and checked Target as well, or Walmart. We checked one other store. I can't remember what it was, but no luck. And so we head home. So we're hanging out, we're chilling out, and we're up in my room or whatever, and it's pretty late at night. It's like 2 a.m., excuse me. And we're just kind of watching some TV and stuff. And like, I don't know, like hanging out with Kayla was like how it would go. It's not like I felt like I had to like hang out, like give her all of my attention 24/7, but like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. So the time went by quicker than I expected. And like nothing's going on. Like we're like at this point in time too, like we're like we had like talked about like a potential relationship, but we're really just friends. Like, and in my mind, like I have no intentions of doing anything, but it's kind of late, and I'm like, and she's like getting kind of tired. I'm like, you should probably just sleep here, you can sleep on my bed. Like I offer my bed. Usually, if I have a friend come over, I usually offer them my bed because I'm like, at the very least, like, I can rough it out at night on the couch or on the floor and kind of give them a better experience while sleeping away from home, right? Because it's kind of uncomfortable sometimes sleeping at someone's house. So that's kind of the gesture I like to offer my guests if any friend or somebody stays over, right? So, yeah, I offer her my bed and whatever. She's like, I'll just sleep next to you or whatever. So we kind of like, we're just kind of laying there talking, and she's like, oh, do you want... She's like, I kind of wanted to tell you how I make so much money. And I'm just like, and in my head, I'm like, yeah, how do you make so much? Like, I've always been kind of curious. And she's all telling me, she's like, she just kind of hits me with this out of nowhere. She's like, yeah, like, and like, I'm kind of feeling like a little pit in my stomach. I'm like I'm getting ready for this girl to tell me she's like a drug dealer or something. I'm like, what is she about to say? Like, I'm feeling a little nervous, and she's like, oh, like how I make my money or whatever is like I go out to the club and I'm a stripper. And I'll never forget like the sort, it's like I'm kind of laying on my side, so it's like my jaw doesn't really like drop down. It's kind of like more hanging to the side. But I like I'll never forget like the feeling like my face had, because like I don't know. I was just like, what? Like, I thought she was kidding. I was like, you fuck, like, dead ass, like, ha ha ha, funny. Because this girl, she doesn't dress any provocatively at all. Like, she's very modest, just like has that typical sort of preppy girl vibe. Like, she's very cute, very pretty, hair all done, all that type of stuff. But like, she's not she's not showing anything off. So it was really just a shocker. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you go, and she's like, yeah, I just go to the club and take my clothes off, and I make a ton of money doing it. And like, she's even saying she's thinking about dropping out of college. And I'm laying there, and like, I'm realizing she's like dead set on this. Like, there is no changing this girl's mind. She is not going back. And I'm just like, damn, I'm blown. I'm more blown away that it was more like a comparable, like, when I first realized Santa wasn't real, like, that's how I felt. I was like, oh my God, like, I've been living a lie. It just felt, I don't know how to put it, but like, I wasn't like mad or anything. I kind of wish she had told me earlier or whatever, and I have no problem, like, if like that's something, like, if you're a guy and you're into girls that are strippers, or if you have a girlfriend that's a stripper, like, personally, I'm not here to say like I think that's wrong or anything. Like, for me, I want a girl I can show my grandma, and that's just not. I mean, granted, this girl's not a porn star, or she's not, she's not a prostitute or anything, but my grandma's a Catholic. She's very devoted to God. Like, she's not gonna see. She's like, oh well, she only takes her clothes. Like, she's not sleeping with the. It's like, no, it's all just as bad. So, and for pretty much my whole family, it's like they wouldn't approve. So I'm like, damn, And even for me, it's like, that's just not really what I want. And so I'm like, realizing she's dead set on this, and I'm like, oh, and it's 4:00 in the morning, mind you. I'm supposed to be at the video shoot at 8 a.m. and I have gotten no sleep. I'm gonna be exhausted. Like, I don't do well with no sleep, bro. And this is fully my fault. I'm not like, oh, poor me. No, I did this all to myself. I put the knife in my own back. But I am so shocked by this statement that Kayla tells me she's a stripper, that I'm kind of unable to like really like even just look at her the same. I'm like, damn, and you're in my bed right now. Like, I'm like, what? But and I was like, you're at my mom's house. Like, oh my, like, I felt so dirty, I felt like, I don't know. I don't know how I felt, dude, but I felt all weird inside. And I was like, look, well, I didn't really say anything. I was trying to be cool. I'm not a super judgmental person, especially at the time. I was trying to play it off really cool. Like, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever. I was even telling her, I was like, yeah, I like sell some drugs too. I'm like low key a dealer, which is complete cap. But I don't know. I just, for some reason, I felt like I had to say something that was like, oh, I'm also not a good person. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I had to say something. So I mentioned that. And, she's really kind of unfazed, which threw me back even further. I was like, okay, that kind of weird. Like, I thought you were like super against that. But she's like, no, that's cool or whatever. And I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not saying this girl was, I really appreciate the time we spent together, but I don't know. I guess in some ways you could say I was used a little bit, because like, she could have paid for everything and it would have made no dent in her wallet. And like, I was putting some dates on credit cards, which was not smart, but either way, I still paid it off. It was all good. But yeah, I was completely blown away by that. And it really ruined the next day for me, because I didn't get any sleep. Like, I maybe got 2 hours of sleep. I wake up, right? And I'm flying around my room. It's like, I wake up and my alarm's going off. It's like 6:45. And, I don't have anything charged. I kind of wasted, like, I should have been getting ready that night. I really wasn't. I was just kind of hanging out with Kayla, talking to her, like, whatever. And I wasn't really focused. And so I'm plug it. I got a steady cam. I got a, not a steady cam. I got a gimbal. I got to charge that. I got to charge my camera. I'm like plugging my laptop in, dude. I'm flying around my room. I'm going crazy. I'm like, I'm going to be late. And I'm hitting up all the boys. I'm like, look, plan is a go. Everyone, meet in the location, but I might be a few minutes late. And so I hop in the shower, take one of the quickest showers I've ever taken. And Kayla's still kind of laying there on my bed. I'm like, look, Kayla, we got to get up. My bed's pretty comfortable. So she was kind of like sucked into it. She's like, and she didn't get any sleep either. So she's like really having a hard time getting up. I'm like, look, we got to go. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not trying to kick you out or nothing, but like, and she knew I had to be there. So she's kind of understanding. She like gets up. She's like, okay, we get her keys, we get her phone, we get all her stuff. And I walk her out to her car. I'm like, look, it was great having you. Give her a hug, whatever. Thanks for coming, but I got to go. And I kind of completely, threw the stripper stuff out the window. I didn't even think about it because I'm thinking about this video and how like unprepared I am and all that. So I grabbed like a yerba mate, try to wake myself up a little bit, and I pull up to the location. Now, it went smoothly. We filmed the video. Everything, went off well. Everyone had a good time. But what I truly, especially ever since this day, will never like forget, or like what I'll take as a lesson learned, is that, especially with like just a female I'm just hanging out with, like I'm just friends with, like I'm not going to sacrifice something important to me, even slightly important, like that ever again. Because yeah, the video went well, but like we were all talking about how this video was going to be like cemented as a part of like, just, I don't know. And it was a good video, but it didn't live up to the hype that I had hoped. So it was truly a lesson learned, but it is not our last attempt at doing a shoot with these guys fully. We do some more individual work in the future. I sort of pull my head out of my ass, and after this, this doesn't faze me. This doesn't slow me down. I bounce back immediately, and we are just going harder than ever from here, boys. This, I don't know why this fits so well in my mind as part of the pregame of the Corona Chronicles, but to me, these first two stories really help set the scene, and from here, we are going to be getting into when the initial lockdown of the coronavirus happened out here in Sacramento, California. And we're going to be getting into all the wacky stuff that happened around that. I moved into, the timing was insane because I moved into an apartment and then the lockdown happened like 2 days later. So really just quite the time period. And yeah, psychedelics and trips and crazy stories are only going to go up from here, folks. So I hope you're ready. I hope you guys are excited for more. I am so thankful you are here, and I hope to see you in the next story time. Thank you all so much for being here. Peace.